Hello and welcome to all of you Aquarians out there. This is another video about the yearly horoscopes, an extra video you could say, but more in specific for looking at the degree of your sign and what does that mean for you. So you can watch it with the other video. I put in the link at the end of the video of the yearly horoscope if you haven't done already. But as I said, this is a bit more in detail for all those planets, the outer planets, what they are doing for you and in your sign and at what degree. Let's start, of course, with the biggie, the Pluto in your sign. So Pluto going into Aquarius again in January already and staying there for almost the whole year. Yes, it's going to tiptoe again into Aquarius around September and November, up until November time. But for the most year, it's going to be between 0 and 2 degrees of Aquarius. So it goes very, very slow. All Aquarians are going to feel this, absolutely. But of course, the ones who've got planets, a sun sign, a moon sign, or an ascendant sign in the first 2 degrees of Aquarius, they're going to feel it the most. Of course, you're going to have Pluto bang on your sun, for instance. The sun is your identity and the consciousness of you. The moon represents more the way that you live, your emotional life, your relationships, and the ascendant is your whole life. You know, that is your life path, basically. So when you're having Pluto, for the ones of you who were born around and about the 21st of January, 22nd, 23rd of January, of course, those Aquarians are going to feel it the most. But it's going to be, and other Aquarians are going to feel it somewhere in the upcoming year. So it's interesting to hear what this is all about because they can prepare themselves a little bit better. But you, particularly, you're going to have Pluto on your sun. That is a huge one. That is transformation. That is getting into soul's purpose. If you are someone who's been saying, yeah, I'm not doing my soul's purpose, I'm sitting in a job that I don't like, I'm sitting in a relationship that I don't even feel that my heart still is there in the relationship, then this is the time where there can be a destruction of that in order for you to rebuild again. Now, the best attitude to take is surrender, but we have to be careful with saying surrender. Surrender into the things that that are out of your control. So for instance, I've seen it many, many times. People have Pluto on their sun sign, and that is a loss of identity in some sort of way, what you identified yourself with, right? And this was a person, for instance, that had a job, that has been doing that job for many, many years, part of their identity. And all of a sudden they're saying, you know, we are doing a reorganization. You have to go. You know, that's typical for Pluto on the sun. But when you are resisting that, it becomes really, really painful because you don't want to surrender, right? You're not trusting that the universe knows best. And that even though you don't like it, your ego doesn't like it. It's ego death that I'm talking about. The universe has something better for you in store. And always, always have I heard that people afterwards, they email me or text me or whatever, and they're saying, look, Veerle, I'm so glad that I was fired, right? Because now I have this and that and that. I have another job and it's more authentic, it's more real, it's more, I love it more even, and so on. So the easier, that's what I mean by surrender. Of course, the things that are very clear to you that are not you anymore. The same with a relationship, you know, the sun represents, still in a woman's chart, an important male. Pluto on it can mean a transformation of a connection with an important male. Whether it is your man or an important father figure or a male figure in your life, there could be a transformation of that going on. And of course, not necessarily it needs to mean that they're going to be out of your life completely, a transformation. Some things are not going to be business as usual anymore. So a lot of Aquarians are ready for this. A lot of Aquarians are ready to go through, first and foremost, a part of them that they need to shut off, that is not working for them anymore. Again, as I said, with the sun, it's more your identity. With the moon, having the moon, for instance, at 0 to 2 degrees of Aquarius, it can be more a person or the way that you react or respond to circumstances, to triggers. Pluto on your moon, for instance, and your ascendant, it's your whole life is about to change. And very often that happens with an encounter with a new person in your life, because you have changed energetically so much that you're going to attract totally different people, Plutonian people, because it shows something that that is within you, right? And so we have seen it many times, Pluto on the ascendant, and people get to know someone that is so important that their whole life path changes. You know, it's quite drastic there. That, you know, those are the stories that people say, yeah, I met this person and my whole life transformed, right? Because of that, I married, or we lived together, and I had a new job, and I had a new this and that. It's so full of transformation. It's so full of, so the sooner actually you are accepting that parts of you are absolutely outworn, absolutely don't drag dead with you, right? So if something is dead, a relationship, a connection, a job, when that is dead for you, don't try to poke it and try to keep it alive, because it's not possible, right? So yes, it's about relationships, absolutely. Those relationships that already were dead, and you know it. This is not something that I'm talking to you and now, oh, I have to fear my relationship when it's still good. No, this is something that you already know deep down inside, that you are ready for something new. And when you are going with that energy, you will get a lot of purpose, soul's purpose. You will thrive like never before after this transit, for sure. It's the new life. It's a new earth. Absolutely. It's one of the biggest transits one can have. And it's now for the Aquarians, you know, time to start the new life, an exciting life, a life that is about the true Aquarian, who you are all about. And Pluto in your sign also means you have the power. You are very empowered. You can do way more than you can. Of course, sometimes we hear like, yes, we can't do everything in life. Of course not, we're not gods. But when Pluto is in your first house, you encounter your own power and how powerful you are. That's amazing. Neptune in your second house is like last year. So Neptune in the second house is not really aspecting Aquarius, but it means, you know, it's that Neptunian vibe that you also had last year in your second house. Second house is your possessions, the things that you literally have, and it's your confidence. So with Neptune, I would say don't attach yourself too strongly with things. It doesn't mean to say that you have to be poor, or that's not what I'm saying, but just don't attach yourself too much to it. And actually it can mean then quite a lot of money coming in because of Neptunian kind of standards that you're having, which are more towards values, towards empathy, towards creativity, rather than tangible things. Jupiter and Uranus are in the fourth house, and they're going to meet up. So Jupiter is going to stay in Taurus up until like May, 25th of May of the year. So that's the core of your horoscope. So again, a very important transit. Now, for whom is this mostly important? The ones, I'm talking about Uranus now. The ones who've got planets between 19 and 27 degrees of Aquarius, so 19 to 27 degrees, that's a totally different part of Aquarians, you could say. those are going to feel Uranus squaring up to their energy. And that's a huge thing. This is about independence. This is your ruler squaring up to you, so to speak. And it's in the core of your horoscope, which is a bit like a Uranus on the moon, you could say. What does it mean? It's about your independence. It's about you not being dependent on other people. It's about your connections and relationships, but it's about doing things in a specific way, but in your own way. And of course, this can be relationships. This can be relationships that if there was not enough freedom, if there was where you felt that you were like, this Uranus is going to want to cut cords. Again, it never has to be that for everyone that drastic, but there is a tendency of independence here. There's a tendency of you wanting to do things your own specific way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that has consequences, right? Uranus squaring up to your sun, for instance, is more to do with your work identity. So more like that would be advisable to do something, having your own business rather than working in a landscape where everyone is doing the same thing. Not that that's a bad thing, but not now for you temporary, because you've got Uranus squaring up to your sun. So that means doing something new, doing something out of the ordinary, doing something that you've never done before, doing something Uranus-like, maybe with the internet, with computers, with other people say, what the hell are you doing over there with your astrology? What is that, astrology? That kind of thing. Of course, it doesn't have to be astrology. Is just an example, but and the square means that it's unsettling, right? So you will have to get out of that comfort zone to get there. And a lot of times people forget that Aquarians are fixed signs. So it's not always that easy to get out of that comfy zone, especially not when it squares up into that fourth house of your emotional well-being. It could also mean sudden moves, circumstances with parents that are drastically changing, hopefully for the better, but it depends on your situation. Drastic changes there. Or you doing some Uranian thing at your home. And I remember when Uranus was crossing my fourth house, I started to do astrology at home, bringing Uranus to the home. So, important, but Jupiter, that's what I wanted to stress here. In March and in April, Jupiter and Uranus are going to conjoin with each other. Although it is a square, so it always demands some tension, and to deal with that tension and to get out of the comfort zone, there's expansion possible here with Jupiter there. So you could be moving, going to a bigger house, or you could be doing at home a lot of Jupiterian, Uranian kind of things, which is teaching, learning, exploring. You could move to a foreign country. Jupiter, Uranus in the fourth. So very interesting indeed. And then Pisces also in your second house. Saturn, in your second house, from 3 to 19 degrees of Pisces. Now, that's not going to make an aspect for you, but it's where also Neptune is. So that Saturn energy at the same time in your second house means that it's good for you to make structure in your financial businesses, right? So Saturn is about wake-up call as well. So it could be for some that they have to do something different and something more to establish more longevity and to be a bit more critical towards their own financial structures, for instance. So it could be that as well. Saturn in the second house is not one of my favorite transits because it can also mean that you have to be a little bit more economical. So make sure that not more gets out than gets in. It sounds easy, but it's not going to be that easy. With Saturn is not an easy planet. So if you work hard there in that particular house, and if you do like you have to do it, in other words, no shortcuts, doing things in the way that it should be, you're going to get rewarded when Saturn leaves this house. Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom. It also means the confidence. So it could mean, because so much is shifting with this Pluto on your sign, that the confidence is like a little bit more insecure here with Saturn transiting your second house. But whatever it is, work on it, level up, right? If you have your confidence is very low because you are overweight, well, the Saturn in the second house can mean actually a very positive thing, that you're going to tackle it, that you're going to shift the structure of food, because the second house is also food, actually. So, yes, a very interesting year. You're one of those signs who are having massive, big transformations possible and happening for you if you take that opportunity. On a relationship level, it's a lot more authenticity here. It's wanting to being in a healthy relationship, and watch out also for the power struggles with Pluto in your sign, because power struggles, that's about manipulation, that's about ego. It could really be tested here, so that you're not going to do that anymore, or you're not going to allow that anymore. That's the purpose. Anyway, having said that, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best year ever. Bye-bye.